You have a great idea at work. You want to suggest it to your team, but when you open your mouth, all that comes out is, maybe we could, I don't know, just an idea, but never mind. Your idea dies before it's even heard.
I did this in a meeting once. I wanted to suggest we change our meeting time because it conflicted with another commitment. But I was so worried about sounding demanding that I said, I'm really sorry. I know this is probably a bad idea, but maybe if it's okay with everyone, could we possibly? And my manager interrupted and said, Olivia, just tell us what you want. I felt so embarrassed.
That's the problem. When you don't know how to persuade in English, you either sound too weak and get ignored, or too pushy and people resist you.
Today, we're teaching you 12 English language frames that persuade without pressure, so you can change minds confidently and respectfully.
I'm Paul and I'm Olivia. Welcome to English Together.
Here's what you need to understand. Persuasion in English-speaking cultures, especially at work, is about presenting your idea clearly and showing its value. Not about being aggressive, but also not about apologizing for having an opinion.
If you're too indirect or apologetic, people think you don't believe in your own idea. But if you're too direct or commanding, people feel pressured and resist.
So, what's the solution?
We call it the four-frame persuasion system. Four types of language frames you can use depending on your goal and your relationship with the person. Soft frames for when you want to prioritize the relationship, logic frames for when you need to appeal to reason, collaborative frames for when you want to create partnership, and vision frames for when you want to paint a picture of future benefits.
So, instead of guessing what to say, you choose the frame that fits the situation.
Exactly. By the end of this lesson, you'll have 12 specific phrases you can customize for any persuasive conversation, at work, with friends, with family, anywhere.
In the next 17 minutes, we'll break down all four frames, give you real examples, show you common mistakes, and help you practice so these phrases become natural.
Let's start with soft frames.
Soft frames are relationship first. These are gentle, respectful phrases that persuade without any pressure. You use these when you care more about maintaining a good relationship than getting your way immediately.
So, like with a friend, a colleague you're close with, or in a situation where you don't want anyone to feel pushed.
Exactly. Here's the first soft frame. I was wondering if we might consider.
I was wondering if we might consider. Why does this work?
Because I was wondering is soft. It's your thought, not a demand. And might consider means you're open to discussion. It's not we should or we must. It's an invitation to think about it.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say you want your team to try a new project management tool. Instead of saying, we should use this tool, you say, I was wondering if we might consider trying this new tool for our next project. It could help us stay more organized.
That sounds so much less pushy.
Second soft frame. What if we tried? This is even gentler. What if is a question, so it doesn't feel like you're telling anyone what to do. You're proposing a possibility.
Example?
What if we tried meeting on Wednesdays instead of Mondays? It might give everyone more time to prepare over the weekend.
Oh, I like that. You're not demanding, you're exploring.
Third soft frame. Would you be open to? This explicitly asks for their openness. It shows respect for their autonomy. You're not assuming they'll agree.
Example? Would you be open to switching our presentation order? I think starting with the data might be more compelling.
Perfect. That's all three soft frames. Notice they all start gently and give the other person space to agree or disagree.
But what if you're in a situation where you need to be more direct, like at work?
That's where logic frames come in. Logic frames appeal to reason. You're not being pushy, you're showing why your idea makes sense. These work great in professional settings where decisions are based on outcomes, not emotions.
So you're giving them a logical reason to agree.
Exactly. First logic frame, the advantage of X is that when you present an advantage, you're not saying, do this because I want you to. You're saying, here's the benefit.
Example?
The advantage of starting the meeting at 10 instead of 9 is that everyone will have time to check their emails first, so we'll be more focused.
You're giving them a reason that benefits them.
Exactly. Second logic frame, based on reason, data, or experience, I think we should. This shows you've thought it through. You're not just guessing, you have evidence or reasoning.
Example, based on last quarter's feedback, I think we should simplify our onboarding process. Client said it was too complicated.
Good. You're backing up your suggestion with data. That's persuasive without being pushy.
What's the third logic frame?
Here's why this matters. This directly explains the importance. You're not assuming they see the value, you're making it clear.
Example, here's why this matters. If we don't update our website by next month, we'll lose traffic to competitors who have better mobile experiences.
Oh, that's direct but not aggressive. You're explaining consequences.
Right. Logic frames work when your audience values reason and results.
Okay, so we have soft frames for relationships and logic frames for reason. What about when you want to make it feel like a team decision?
That's collaborative frames. These use we language to make it feel like a partnership, not you versus them.
So it's inclusive.
Exactly. First collaborative frame. What if we approached it this way? Notice we. You're not saying you should do it my way. You're saying let's consider this together.
Example, what if we approach the presentation this way? You handle the data section, I handle the visuals, and we collaborate on the conclusion.
Perfect. Second collaborative frame. I'd love to get your input on this. This invites collaboration. You're not steamrolling, you're asking for their perspective.
Example,
I'd love to get your input on this proposal before I send it to the client. Do you think the pricing structure makes sense?
you're making them part of the process.
Exactly. Third collaborative frame. Let's explore the possibility of. Let's is powerful collaborative language. You're inviting shared exploration.
Example, let's explore the possibility of launching this product in Q2 instead of Q1. We might get better results if we have more time to test.
Yes, collaborative frames work when you want buy-in and shared ownership.
This is making so much sense. What's the fourth frame type?
Vision frames. Vision frames paint a picture of the future benefit. Instead of just saying what you want or why it's logical, you help the other person imagine the positive outcome.
So you're appealing to their imagination.
Right. First vision frame. Imagine if we could. You're literally asking them to visualize success.
Example,
Imagine if we could automate this entire process. We'd save 10 hours a week and eliminate manual errors. Think about how much more time we'd have for strategic work.
oh wow, I can actually picture that.
That's the power of vision frames. Second vision frame. This could mean you're connecting your idea to a meaningful result.
Example, this could mean faster project completion, happier clients, and less overtime for the team.
Exactly. You're showing the ripple effect of your idea. Third vision frame. Picture this. Super direct. You're asking them to mentally step into the future scenario.
Example,
Picture this. It's next quarter and our sales have increased by 20% because we implemented this new follow-up system. Clients feel more supported and we're hitting our targets consistently.
that's powerful. You're making the benefit feel real.
That's all 12 frames. Soft, logic, collaborative, and vision.
Okay, pause for 1 second. We've just given you 12 persuasion frames. But here's the thing. You need to practice saying them out loud or they won't come naturally when you actually need to persuade someone.
So right now, we want you to say 3 of these frames with us. Ready?
First, a soft frame. Say, I was wondering if we might consider trying this approach.
Go ahead. Say it out loud right now, even if you're alone. We'll wait. Good. Now a logic frame. Say, the advantage of this is that it saves time and reduces errors. One more. A vision frame. Say, imagine if we could finish this project a week early.
Did you do it? If you set them out loud, you're already ahead of 90% of learners. That's how you build confidence, by hearing yourself use persuasive language.
Now, let's talk about common mistakes. Let me tell you what I used to do wrong. When I was learning to present ideas in meetings, I would over-apologize. I'd say things like, I'm really sorry to bring this up, and I know you're all busy, but I was just thinking maybe if it's not too much trouble.
Oh no, you were undermining yourself before you even made your point.
Exactly. My manager finally pulled me aside and said, Paul, stop apologizing for having ideas. Just tell us what you think. And she was right. All that apologizing made me sound like I didn't believe in my own suggestion.
So mistake number one is over-apologizing or being too self-deprecating.
Right. You can be polite without apologizing for existing. There's a difference between, I'm so sorry to bother you, but maybe we could, and I was wondering if we might consider. The second is polite but confident.
What's another mistake?
Mistake two, being too commanding. I've seen learners say, you should do this, or you need to change this when they're trying to persuade. That doesn't persuade, it triggers resistance.
Because people don't like being told what to do.
Exactly. Instead of, you should try this tool, say, what if we tried this tool? Or, the advantage of this tool is that you're guiding, not commanding.
I made a mistake once. I was trying to convince my friend to go to a specific restaurant, and I kept saying, it's really good, you'll love it, trust me, it's amazing. I didn't give her any actual reasons, I just kept insisting.
So you were being pushy without being persuasive.
Exactly. She got annoyed and said, okay, fine, whatever, you want. She agreed, but she wasn't actually persuaded. She was just trying to end the conversation.
That's mistake 3, repeating yourself without adding value. If someone doesn't agree the first time, don't just say the same thing louder or more often. Add a different frame. Switch from soft to logic, or from logic to vision.
So if I was wondering if we might try this restaurant doesn't work, you could add a logic frame. The advantage is that they have great vegetarian options, and I know half of us don't eat meat.
Perfect. You're layering frames, not repeating yourself.
What about cultural differences?
Great question. In some cultures, being very indirect is polite. But in most English-speaking professional environments, especially in the US, UK, and Canada, clarity is valued. You don't need to be aggressive, but you do need to be clear about what you're suggesting and why.
So don't hide your idea in so much politeness that people can't even tell what you're proposing.
Exactly. Be clear and polite, not vague and apologetic.
Can you combine frames, like use two in the same conversation?
Absolutely. That's actually the most persuasive approach. You start with one frame, and if you sense resistance, you add another.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say you want your team to adopt a new process. You start with a soft frame. I was wondering if we might consider using this new checklist for our client onboarding. If they seem hesitant, you add a logic frame. The advantage is that it would ensure we don't miss any steps, and based on feedback, clients have said our onboarding feels inconsistent. If they're still not convinced, you add a vision frame. Imagine if every client had the same smooth, professional experience from day one. That could really strengthen our reputation and lead to more referrals.
Oh, so you're layering soft approach, logical reasoning, and future benefit.
Exactly. You're building a case without being pushy.
That's brilliant.
We've taught over 75,000 students these exact persuasion frames, and here's what they tell us. The biggest shift wasn't just learning the phrases, it was realizing that persuasion isn't about manipulation or aggression. It's about clear communication and showing value.
Once they learned to match their frame to their goal and relationship, they stopped feeling pushy and started feeling confident. And ironically, people started actually listening to their ideas.
Because confidence and clarity are persuasive.
All right, let's recap the 4-frame persuasion system.
Soft frames for relationship-first persuasion. I was wondering if we might consider. What if we tried? Would you be open to?
Logic frames for reason-based persuasion. The advantage of X is that Based on reason, data, or experience, I think we should. Here's why this matters.
Collaborative frames for partnership language, like, what if we approached it this way? Or, I'd love to get your input on. Or, let's explore the possibility of.
And vision frames for future benefit persuasion. Imagine if we could. This could mean, picture this.
3 common mistakes to avoid. Over-apologizing before making your point, being too commanding, like you should, and repeating yourself without adding value.
And remember, you can combine frames. Start with one, and if you sense resistance, layer in another.
Your homework this week, choose 2 frames that feel natural to you. Practice them in low-stakes situations first, like suggesting a restaurant to a friend or proposing an idea in a casual conversation. Then, when you're comfortable, use them in a more important situation.
Start small, build confidence, then level up.
And here's the cultural key. In English-speaking professional environments, clarity is kindness. Don't hide your idea in so much politeness that no one can tell what you're actually suggesting.
All right, we covered so much today, and we're really proud of you for sticking with us.
If this lesson helped you, please give it a like right now. It helps other English learners discover these persuasion strategies.
And if you haven't already, subscribe to English Together. We post a new practical English lesson every single week.
Now, here's our question for you. Have you ever tried to persuade someone and it went hilariously wrong? Maybe you were too apologetic and they didn't even realize you were making a suggestion. Or maybe you were too pushy and they got defensive. Or maybe you tried to convince your friend about something and they did the opposite just to prove a point.
I told you about my over-apologizing meeting disaster, and Paul shared his restaurant insistence fail. Now it's your turn.
Tell us your story in the comments. We read every single one and will reply to as many as we can. Plus, your story will help other learners feel less alone because persuading in a second language is hard.
Remember, persuasion isn't about manipulation or force. It's about presenting your idea clearly, showing its value, and respecting the other person's autonomy.
You're not being pushy when you use these frames. You're being clear and confident. And that's what gets people to actually listen.
Practice the 4-frame persuasion system this week. Soft, logic, collaborative, and vision. And watch how people respond differently to your ideas.
Thanks for learning with us today.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.